All right, getting started. Okay, does this work? Looks like it. So, turn that down slightly. Okay, so trying to get back in this. Haven't streamed for a while. Been a while since I made a video. Wanted to change things up a little bit. So just got back from holidays and wanted to try and refresh myself on some stuff. It's been a few months since I've been doing a whole lot of like properly extensive synthesized things. What with the state of the industry right now. So might be a little rusty, but we'll see. Okay, so just gonna jump straight into it. Sorry. I'm going to solve this cat head and use a couple constraints to align the eyes and also the symmetry line of the head, where I've got a couple of trackers where they kind of lined up with the center line as best as I could. Yeah, and we'll do a little bit on the wheelbarrow too. We're gonna enter in some camera information as well. Really simple stuff. A little bit of distortion, and I might see if I can do some rolling shutter. We'll see. I'm gonna fake it. See if I can fake a better solution using the new distortion parameters. So let's go ahead and separate out the trackers into their own object and just go. Let's see. Also, I want to see if this stuff works. So I just had to reset up everything. I changed my setup here. So this still works. Great. I was testing all of this before. I'm just a little paranoid. Something always goes wrong. Cool, looked good. Okay, so the trackers. I spent my time tracking because I didn't want to do that live. Who wants to watch tracking live? I did do a little bit of work on this cat's face. You can see that the trackers go behind the hand here in a moment, like right there. And you can see they're still moving decently. I did this using one of my recent tutorials, a trick that I did where I did some plate stabilization with the trackers. So I was able to stabilize this head and then have these splined points behind my hand, and got a pretty decent move out of it. And it really didn't take much time at all to do that. The most time it took was for me to track like the two starting points. I started with these 2 points, and then everything else was kind of like by hand, offset. Not a lot of work. Okay, so I'm going to go shot, add moving object, and let's start dishing these points out. Also, you know what? I don't like that these points are kind of long. They tend to do this when you export trackers, which I did this scene before, but that was a quick practice run. And so I exported them all out so I can have a completely fresh synthesize file. Now they're kind of stretched out. They look funny. If you want to fix that, go to your first frame, Control A, select it all, unlock them, and then if you come off to your tracker tab, right here you can see this 3. You can drag that down. What is that exactly again? Width height ratio of a tracker. So that's your tracker ratio. Cool, and then if you wanted, you can scale these up and down if you just wanted to look pretty. I didn't have to do this, I just wanted them to look a little prettier. There. Also, in case you missed it, I exposed this footage down. At the bottom, you can see we have a toolbar. If I right click here, I reset it. I can click and drag expose up and down. This is just for visibility. Okay, now, separating this out. I'm going to come over to Window, Hierarchy View. So there's 2 ways to do this. There's 2 ways to put our trackers under an object. One is that you can select your trackers. Under the tracker tab, over here you can see camera 1, you can select your object, and it's going to ask if you want to duplicate them, if you want to clone them. No. And then it's going to move them under your object. And if you don't want to do it that way, for some reason, you can come over to your trackers, select your points, and drag them over. Great. Now that these are separated, I shall be able to solve. So I'm going to come over to Solver and hit Go, or just Shift G on my keyboard. Great, so everything did a thing. So let's just give it a watch. Yeah, hit F4. things are looking okay. Cool. So things are looking fine. Let's start actually putting some constraints and orienting this object, and also a little bit of constraints on our wheelbarrow, just so it has some kind of level to it. Let's start with the wheelbarrow. So when we start putting constraints, for Synthesize to listen to those constraints, you're going to want to turn on the constraints checkbox over here. But as soon as I do that, this might make sense in a little bit. I'm gonna intentionally do this the wrong way because I kind of want to show the error. But if you don't have constraints set up on your camera or your object, Synthesize is going to complain because you told it to use constraints, but you don't have anything set on one or both of your things. So for now, let's go over to the cat head and let's try to do some stuff. So I'm going to make the nose kind of the 0 point of my object. And when I say 0 point, let's see. I'm going to open up Maya. I just want to show something. So 0 point. Let's say we have, wait, shift right click. I'm forgetting how to use Maya too. Let's make a cube. Scale it up. Get ourselves a division. Let's pretend that, actually let's get another division. Let's pretend that this is a cat head. Very unfortunate cat. So that diamond in Synthesize. Where's my Synthesize? So you could see this diamond right here. This is the actual object itself. Like you might have a mesh. Actually, I think I could have just explained this all in Synthesize. Maybe I didn't need Maya. So if we look over here, this diamond is the actual object. And this mesh, well, let's say we brought in a cat head. You're not solving the mesh. I mean, you're going to use the mesh to like drop points and constrain stuff if you have that luxury. But when you hit solve, it is animating this diamond, and then your mesh will be parented under this diamond. So we want to set up constraints because we want this diamond to be oriented to the face of this cat. So I want forward on this diamond to be pointed ahead, you know, pointed down the nose or something, so that when I start to bring other objects like this cube, when I bring it under the object, let's go hierarchy. Where is it? Oh, it's already under there. Cool. So when this box is under the object, I want to be able to just zero it out and see that it aligns. Oh yeah, I gotta go to rotate. Zero it out and see that it aligns to the diamond. If we start off making sure that this object diamond is oriented to whatever it is that we're working on, modeling and positioning things is going to be way easier down the line. So I'm going to delete that for now. I'm going to make the 0 point the nose. This could be anything you want. Oh, by the way, I really didn't need Maya. That was kind of pointless, but at least I got to show off my modeling skills. So the nose, I'm going to make that the 0 point. How do I do that? We need to set up a constraint. We need to tell this tracker that it's on 0. 0, 0, 0. So it's going to snap itself to the center of this diamond. So basically this diamond is going to visually snap over here to the nose. So if I take this point, come to trackers, yeah. And we're going to come over to the seed and lock panel off to the side. You can see it's already on 0, 0, 0. We have two options here. We can use origin or lock point. Origin, it's just 0, 0. And even if you mess with this stuff, I don't think it works. I like to use lock. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. Same thing. I just use lock for anything because later I have the creative control to adjust these coordinates if I want to. So with that being said, if I hit solve right now, I think this diamond's going to snap over here. There we go. So you could see our things also scaled because we don't really have a distance constraint anywhere. Synthesize doesn't know how big this cat head is, so when we solve, it's just going to keep doing something different. So, let's see what we can do right now until things break. Let's say the eyes. I want these eyes to be on an axis, like lined up to each other on an axis, parallel to each other. If I look over in Maya, you could see default things is the z-axis is pointing towards you. That's our depth. And y is up. And x is pointing left and right. So I'm just going to treat my axis in Synthize the same way. And you could see the center line, like the nose of this cat, and the very tip of its forehead. These points are going to be on a planar... it's going to be on z and y, on a planar axis. So I'm going to kind of mirror that over here. So I'm going to take the eyes of this cat, I'm going to link one to the other, and we're going to come over here and over where it says unconstrained, you see that we have a few options here. And we have these X, Y, and Z axis with the lines here. I can't remember what it's called. I'm going to set X. So this is parallel X. And here, I'm also going to make sure that a polarity is set. Because these are on an X axis, but we didn't tell Synthize which way this is pointing on X. If I go to Maya, you could see that we could flip this cat head backwards, and the x-axis is still correct, except we flipped the polarity. So our positive is facing the other direction now. And now, because of that, the object is flipped around. So we have to tell this point which way it's facing. In this case, I'm treating Z as it's coming towards us. So our x is gonna point down the right side. So with that selected, I can come over to the seed and lock, and here we have X, Y, and Z. These are our little polarity toggles. So if I click through one of these, you can see it's positive, negative, and back to nothing. I'm going to tell it it's positive. No, sorry. This one's going to be negative, sorry. Yeah, positive is pointing this way. And now, I think if I solve right now, things might break. Once you start to introduce some more stuff, there's a point where Synthize seems to go into kind of a mode. It's kind of weird. So when I said you have to have the constraint checkbox on when you start getting constraints involved, you could get away with like one or a couple sometimes. And it will solve, but it creates itself under the hood like a distance constraint or something, but it doesn't seem to do that when there's a certain number of these constraints, and that's probably me being dumb, but... So with one being set, let's see what happens. Solve. I'm just hitting solve a couple times to see what happens. It looks like after I solved a couple times, it straightened itself out, at least on one axis. Let's see if it did. Let's check it out. I'm going to hit F3, orbit. And you could see that the x-axis is now lined up pretty perfectly. Okay, so I didn't expect that to work, but sometimes I'll forget things like I do now, especially after 4 months. So let's see, this point, I'm going to tell these 2 points that they are on a planar surface in the center of this head. So let's take this one, link it to the middle, come to trackers, and I'm going to tell it that it's not parallel to the tracker I'm selected. It is going to be planar to that point on Y and Z. So this point should freely slide around. Where is it? What's it doing right now? So it's already pretty much there on the plane, but this is us telling it, hey, stick there. I might actually tell it it's on Z just to force this to always point in one direction, because even though I got 2 points on a planar axis, this diamond might rotate on an axis. The X will stay aligned, but it's going to rotate around occasionally. So I think this one I'm going to tell, actually not on a plane, that it's pointing down Z. And I'm going to make this negative Z. And I say negative Z because... Oh, there's chat. Sorry if I missed that. Hey, finally I can catch one of your streams. Thank you, Roland. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done these, and gonna start doing some more. I say that each time too. So you can see with my cheap little cat head here, we have Z facing forwards, and that's what I'm gonna stick to. Positive is pointing backwards. So I'm gonna tell this point that it's on Z, but we're gonna switch the polarity to negative. And let's see what it does now. If I hit solve, also we're gonna have to tell one of these that a distance. Doesn't matter what distance, just some distance. I'm surprised it even solved now. Okay, so did it error out? No. L locked the camera? Yes, it did. So scale got a little crazy there. Once you start putting in more lines, it's gonna start wanting more stuff. It wants us to, I think it wants us to put in a measurement right here. By the way, I'm just remembering all this stuff. I haven't done this for a while. So I'm gonna take, let's say the eyes. We can actually look up the width between a cat's eyes. Actually, let's do that. I'm Googling on the side, on another monitor right now. Width of cat's eyes in centimeters, because my synthesizer is using centimeters. I kind of was hoping something would come up immediately. My search results didn't come up as I thought they would. I can look that up, but I'm just gonna type in 10. This is gonna be 10 centimeters right now, just for the hell of it. So now that I've done that, let's hit solve, and you could see things appeared, and that's quite big or small. I don't know. That's fine. We're gonna work with that for now. We'll worry about scale later on. So I am quite surprised that that worked actually, but let's see what happens if we start getting the camera involved. Let's head over to the camera, and I'm gonna give a point on the base of the wheelbarrow, a zero point. So this point, I'm gonna come over to lock or origin, again, whatever you want. I'm gonna go with lock, because I like flexibility, and it's the same thing. Let's hit solve. And it looks like it's still solving. Pre-alignment error. Pre-alignment error. Yeah, well, it worked. So everything's snapped over. I think this cat head is flipped around. Yeah, the cat head is flipped around. So I solved a couple times to see what it would do, and it broke. So let's undo. And let's try to do things like I did it before. I have a solve of this before I started streaming, and things actually worked very fast. So what I did over there was I selected a point here, linked it over there, and I'm going to tell this point, I'm going to treat the floor of this wheelbarrow as if it's perfectly flat. It's not. It's kind of curved and funky and warped. But this one, I'm going to tell it XZ plane, floor. And I'm also going to give it a distance. Let's see what happens if I solve right now without it. Oh, actually, let's put one more. Tell this one floor. Okay, let's hit solve, see what happens. So it didn't really do. It didn't snap the floor to the wheelbarrow. You can see things are a little bit crazy. So let's see what happens if I take this, and I'm going to go distance. Let's type in 10 as well. That maybe, let's pretend this is kind of a little bit bigger than the width of the cat's eyes. Let's make this like 12 or 13 or something. Let's go 13. So now that we have a distance, I wonder if this will work. Let's see. Nope. Okay. So something else I realized is that sometimes if you rotate your scene closer, And then Synthize doesn't have to do as many crazy things to, you know, get this closer to its seed. Sometimes this has worked for me too. Also, I'm not in Refine for either of these. That could also be the problem. Let's switch them both to Refine. That one's already set. And hit Solve. So now you can see this has scaled up and the object has went crazy. So I hit Solve again just now. I didn't do anything. I just hit Solve. It looks like our object has kind of snapped itself into place. It's looking pretty good. Now let's hit F3, see what we're looking at. Cool. Cool. Okay. Something else I did earlier was I tried to find another thing to orient this wheelbarrow with. I could... Also, let's expose this up a little bit. I could try to use the base of the wheelbarrow here as like some access points, but I don't know if I really trust it. I don't know if this tapers. I can't tell. So what I did was I had a couple points added up here, and this is going to be like an x-axis for my camera. So I'm going to take this and this. So this point that I started with, I linked it over there. This is going to be my parallel x. And relative to the one that I linked it to, this is facing positive x. And again, this is relative to the tracker I just linked it to. If this tracker happened to be like right here, and it was linked over, it would be negative x. Animator's Journey. Your channel and tutorials are great. How did you learn? Did you just go through all the documentation? I just did the filter, constraint, oriented camera, refine thing. It always increases your horizontal pixel thing expected. Wait, sorry, I'm slightly confused by that. One sec. Filter. Oh, smooth. Filter. Filter, okay. I'm assuming you mean filtering control and refine. And orient camera refine thing. Orient. Do you mean like rotation locks? Your tutorial, one of them mentions this filter for the camera position, then resolve. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. Expected, yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Refine does not throw away the solution. When you're just starting out a solve, you need to start with automatic or from seed points, or tripod. Maybe something else I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's just those. And you need to start somewhere because there's no points, there's no data, nothing exists. So you solve with one of those. And that's kind of brute force. Once you have an initial solve, then you don't want to keep throwing it away. You want to refine what you have because it saves time. Also, different solutions can have different results, like they might be flipped, inverted, they might have a certain scale or a certain depth that you want to preserve. Then you would start working in refine. Definitely can't trust a wheelbarrow. That's funny. Yeah, this wheelbarrow is pretty rough. I know when I was helping my dad dig up like potatoes and some other vegetables in the garden, and this is a very flimsy, cheap wheelbarrow. Okay, so now that I have these 2 points over here, what was I doing? I was doing these points. Yes. Okay, so we were solving the camera. So these 2 points in the back of the wheelbarrow, I'm going to treat this like it's a perfect flat and level surface because I'm desperate. So now that I've linked them, I didn't solve yet, and you could see how uneven these 2 points are. Now that they are linked and all of our modes are set, when I hit solve, you'll see what happens right here. Look right here. Oh, never mind. So I forgot to set a scale. Now that I've started putting more stuff here, it went a little bit crazy because I didn't give it enough data. So I'm going to undo that. And if I solve, let's see this. Looking at our log here, Please set up orientation stuff, pre-alignment, initial seating does not activate. Yeah, we got all this stuff. So I'm going to cancel. I think that I can solve this by giving it a distance. If your solve is breaking, chances are you can fix it with a distance constraint. So these 2 points here, which one did I link? This one, I think, right? Yes. Yes, that's the one I linked. You could see here, tracker 35. When you link points in Synthesize, when you select one and alt-click the other and it links, you can tell what it's linked to. The actual menu itself is right here. So I can click tracker 35 and then you have a list of your camera's objects and their trackers. So this point, I'm going to now tell it its polarity and a distance. I'm going to tell it it's pointing down the right side of the wheelbarrow. So we're going to go positive X. And I'm also going to... I shouldn't have to give it a distance, actually. I already did. So something else broke, I think. Yeah, this point has 13 centimeters right here. So let's see if this works with a polarity. I doubt it. Yeah, something's wrong. What did I do? I always add something or remove something when I'm streaming. So here is where my dumb shows. I can't multitask very well. So let's see. How do I fix this? What did I do? That is 0. This is 13. What are my solving modes? Automatic. Let's switch to refine. Why did I change that? So, oh, I think I changed that because I was answering animator's journey thing. Question. All right, so there's my solve. You could see the 2 points up here. Right here. They go and get perfectly parallel that you can't even see them. There they are. You could see the wheelbarrow at the top view is straightening out. And yeah, you can see here our X is perfectly aligned with the top here. Our wheelbarrow has a funky shape where the closest part is up and lifted. And it looks like we have a pretty nice line down at the base as well. And there's a curvature here, so I can't really trust the base back there, but it looks pretty nice. If I really wanted... the reason why I picked that lock point before, because I said I wanted freedom, I picked lock point instead of origin for my 0 point, because I like to be able to slide things around. So if I take, let's say I could see this space, my scene has to move over to the right a bit. So this point, I can tell it, X, slide over. And you could see that a little seed point, my coordinate. These upside down triangles, that's your seed. And seed is really just, it synthesizes terminology for given data. I can't say coordinate because seed is also used for like graph points, like graph CVs. And so I don't really want to call that the same as a coordinate in 3D space. It's kind of a given data. Given position. Like, a seed is a known value, I guess. So I'm going to say that this is my known value. And let's see, when I solve, our grid will move over. Our scene will move. And it went the wrong way. That's not as I expected it. What else do I have in this? Also, my object kind of went funky. Let's undo that. I don't know why I did that. Now I don't want to focus on it. The actual way that you would do this, nobody's really going to do what I just did. I just wanted to show because I thought I was teaching something. Turns out it was kind of stupid. So I'm just going to go move, hole, and then I can drag my wheelbarrow over to the side here. And if I hit 4 on my keyboard, I can get a quad view with the perspective view. And I can take a look and maybe try to get this white line. over to the middle. There we go. That's, you know, if you want to try something fancy. Also, let's move the center right at the middle of the box. Cool. Okay, so we have a wheelbarrow. We have a cat's head. So let's see. What's the cat's head doing? Is the cat's head even facing the correct direction? Let's see. Looks like it. Let's do a test object because it's kind of hard to see. The points are making kind of a relatively flat cloud of points. So it's hard for me to tell if they're flipped the right way around. Two ways I can check. I can make a test object, or I can select one tracker. Actually, let's turn off hole here so I can select a tracker. So I selected one on the forehead. This point should be in front of the others, facing the camera. So hitting F3, I'm going to come over to orbit, and now Alt left click around. And it looks like my cat head is flipped around. It has some funky stuff going on. This point should be closer to the camera. Yeah, this nose point should be forward. You used to solve the cam and the object separately. What was the reason for that before? Also, why is it worth to solve them both at the same time now? Did I used to do that? Did I used to solve them separately? So right now, I solved the cat's head, and I'm solving the cat's head and the camera together. That's actually a good point. I'm solving the two of them together because my camera move for the wheelbarrow, like, it moves a bit, but it doesn't have the most movement. Meanwhile, the cat's head, when it rotates around, both the object and the camera, if the camera doesn't have a lot of parallax, but you're probably going to have some inaccurate points or a focal length. But if you happen to have an object in the scene and the object does a turn, those points don't have many possible places they can possibly be. Basically meaning that that object is going to help your camera get a better focal length. So those two things will work together. If I used to do that before, if I used to solve one after the other, there may have been a case-specific reason for that, or I was dumb at that time. There are certainly times where your camera scene, you're going to have enough data that it's worth it to solve the camera, lock that in, and then have the object solved separately, because maybe the object doesn't have a lot of rotation or parallax. So there's a lot of cases, I'd argue most cases, where you would solve one after the other. I hope that helped. I hope that answered your question. Anyway, yeah, sure. All right. What was I doing now? Oh yeah, I have a flipped cat head now. So my typical fix for this is kind of sloppy. I just want to see what happens if I keep solving this right now. Now it eventually came back. Interesting how it flipped around like that, actually. The camera shouldn't have flipped around, so why did it do that? The camera flipped around because I only have one axis with a set polarity. So if I select my trackers, hit 2, actually I didn't need to select them all. 2 on my keyboard shows me a list of trackers. And we could see that only one has polarity. I think this is where is it? How do I tell what's polarity again? It's been a while since I've looked at this. Anyway, I need another one. So I'm going to tell maybe this planar point back here that it is facing -Z, so that my wheelbarrow knows to point backwards. So over here, I'm going to go -Z. Okay, so now when I solve, my wheelbarrow shouldn't flip around anymore. And it's not. Great. But my object, my cat face, is going funky. So, let's see. How am I going to do the cat head? Let's see how I can screw this up. And once again, I am refreshing myself on all this stuff. Thought I would stream it as a test because I also haven't streamed in a while. Making sure this works. Okay, so the cat head. I want to see what happens if... Ooh. I want to see what happens if I... Oh, the cat head is on automatic. Why did I do that? Let's take the constraints off the cat head right now. Let's restart it. So I'm going to clear everything at once. You'll notice that I don't have access to my list. I was going to set to unconstrained. I have to right-click target point. Now all the links are gone. Now I can switch to unconstrained, and I'm also going to clear the polarities. And solve. So let's switch the cat head to automatic. Now what did it do? Okay, so it's still... Now let's see. Let me just see what it's doing here. The forehead is still back where it shouldn't be. So here's what I'm going to try. I'm going to change my beginning and end frame. And let's pick a couple angles with nice rotation. So solving an automatic, again, that's brute force. That's throwing away the bad solution every single time and doing something from scratch. So we're in automatic, and every solve has to start with 2 frames. It's kind of like your 2 eyes. You close one eye, like you don't have depth. But with one eye open, if you move your head side to side, you can see parallax and depth now. But you can only do that if you can look at something from 2 angles. And you know, a camera is typically 1 lens, so you need to give it 2 angles, and that's how it starts the process. So that's what these 2 things here are, beginning and end frame. So I'm going to select my first frame. I'm dragging my begin frame. Let's say, sure, this one. And now we need another frame where the cat's head turns around as drastically as I can get it. Maybe this one. I don't know. Let's give it a try. So I'll solve. Now, what did it do? It looks like the forehead might be facing closest to the camera now. Also, the cat's head is very, very small. But let me go over to orbit, hit Control F. Whoop. I can't see anything. Let's select the object, Control F. And now zoom out. I can't see. World size. Okay. Oh, it's very small. World size down. Okay, so by the looks of this, what's going on here? So it looks like, wait, what's this? Oh yeah, that's the inner eye, okay. What's this? That's the nose. Oh, I'm looking at this in the wrong angle too. I don't know what's what. So I'm gonna color these. I'm gonna take the left eye, make it yellow, take the right eye, make it blue, take the nose, make it white. There we go, get the head straightened out there. This is working like this. Okay, cool. All right, so now let me try the constraints again. See if it works like this. Also, you notice that my points have quite a bit of error. These eyes are like opening and closing, and the head is like, the fur is moving, and the fur is also crinkling as it like closes its eyes and stuff. So there's going to be there's typically higher error in stuff like this. Now, what was it doing? Oh yeah, so I'm going to let's take this eye, this point over here, alt click to the other. And we're going to go parallel X and see if we can get something going like this first. Solve. So you can see the X is working. Now let's take the nose, make it 0, lock, and solve. There we go. And do I have a distance already in here? No, well, I had one on the other eye, but now I gotta set it on this one because I chose a different one to link. So let's make this 10, which will mean that the head's probably gonna get bigger and fly away. Yep. And it is looking correct now. It has put itself into the wheelbarrow. And we've got our center line, but now let's take this point on the back, or we can take one in the middle. Let's actually take this one. No, let's take this one. Has more space. So we'll alt click it to the middle on the nose. And we're going to set it to Y and Z. Actually, no, we weren't. We set this to Z last time because I wanted to stop the head from rotating on an axis. Because we gave it X, and if we gave it a plane, technically it works anywhere on that plane. So we're just going to give it Z, so it points in one direction, and that's it. So Z, and it's going to be firing backwards into the negative direction. So negative Z. Please work. Yes. There we go. So you can see our diamond. Looks like a little airplane. Also, the point in the middle of the eyes looks pretty good too. It's a little off center, but I'm pretty sure I've tracked it like that too. So yes, I am pretty close to done. Let's start looking at scale. I wonder if I can get that measurement for a cat's eyes. Whoa, I might have done it. Maybe not. Find me the width between the outermost corners of a cat's pair of eyes. I wonder if ChatGPT will do this. Wow, it might have done it. Is around 2 to 3 inches, 7.5 centimeters, and of course, variation in the species. So 7.5 centimeters, hopefully that's correct, because struggling with Google. So I'm going to take these eyes here, this point, and I'm going to go, let's go 7.5. And that's going to push our cat head somewhere. Let's see, where is it going to? Yeah, so it shrunk it down. So now let's see if we can get a better scale for a wheelbarrow. So let's pick a frame where, what can we reference? So let's say the top of the wheelbarrow, these 2 points over here. Let's pretend that they're going to be level with the cat's face right here. So this wheelbarrow needs to scale up so this cat's head and these 2 points line up. So let's color these 2 points just so I know what they are. I don't like how they're blue like the cat's head. Let's make them magenta. Now, the wheelbarrow. Let's go shrink this down. We'll go 10 centimeters. If we shrink the space between these two... Wait, no, we gotta grow the space. I think. Yep. Oh no, did that go the other way? Why is that getting like that? Wow. Hi, Lyric, if you're there. A long time. What am I doing? So why is the cat head moving when I scale this up? Let's go 20, see what happens. The cat head should be keeping its distance over here. Wait. Is it working? But I'm just being stupid? Oh, it's working. I'm just being stupid. I think I was right the first time. I had to shrink the distance. Wow. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Shrink the distance between those 2 points. The wheelbarrow will have to shrink, but that cat's head is going to follow. So my cat's head is now on this frame, kind of in line with the wheelbarrow. Maybe we can push the cat head up a little bit. So let's go make 9. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Okay. Cool. This looks cool. Okay. So now I am going to refine this. Actually, you know what we need, which is also going to affect our solve. Something I didn't do earlier. Something very important. Yeah, I made a mistake. So I forgot to use distortion. So also my focal length is wrong. Actually, it might be right, but I can't tell because I don't have my sensor, my camera set. So we're going to set up some camera data, and then we're going to resolve with a new focal length. And we're also going to add distortion. So I'm first going to go to shot, edit shot. For my Sony a7S Mark III, I'm using, it's going to be 35 point something. Let me Google that. $35.6. So yeah, full frame, 35.6. Whoops. 35.6, I want to hit OK. Now my focal length is updated to 20, and I know that 20 is wrong. Because my lens, my lens here is 18 millimeters. Now, even though this says that it's 18 millimeters, distortion and you know, fancy lens stuff, glass cut perfection stuff, factory stuff, it's not exactly 18 mil. This stuff is usually never exactly that. So this is further off than 18 would be. So I'm going to be setting this to 18. We're going to go, yeah, sure. 18 millimeters. And now I can resolve. So I resolved, and you can see the shape of things have adjusted. Oh no, the cat head flipped. So we're going to get distortion and see if the cat head doesn't flip. Now looking at distortion, we have a lot of funky options here. This is the new super exciting stuff. Super, super exciting. We have anamorphic, fisheye, all this crazy stuff that we can do now that we weren't able to do in SynthEyes. Stuff that we relied on 3D Equalizer for. Now we don't have to. And it's a lot faster here and a lot better. So, I am going to go... I have a couple options here. I can go radial squash or radial fourth order. Radial squash is kind of a modified version of classic. And here we have like sensor shift stuff. And the typical other ones. We got scale here. But I'm going to go with radial fourth order just because it lets me do this. And it lets me animate that. My camera has rolling shutter, and sometimes, this isn't physically accurate to do rolling shutter with. It's not. This is not how you want to do rolling shutter. Except I've been cheating it. I've been cheating it for stuff. If you have stabilized footage, this is what you want. But yeah, so I'm going to set this one here only. Set to calculate. And if you click through it, you have a bunch of other options. Animate by frame or by keys. We might do an animated one just to see. But for now, I'm going to go calculate and solve. Oh, the cat had flipped. Yeah. Is that wrong, though? It is wrong. It is wrong. Can I keep solving? Is it going to, like, fix itself? Nope. Okay, so now I got to fix this cat head. So this is doing what? Yeah. It's rotating in an opposite direction. So let's see if it's as simple as going... Oh, I'm in refine again. Why do I keep forgetting that? Nope. Go back to automatic. We're going to flip this around. Oh, I forgot to talk about this before, actually. I forgot to talk about this. So when I do the 2 frames, I hit solve and it worked. And that's why I didn't talk about this next thing. So it's still funny. What do you do if you pick a couple frames and maybe you try other frames and it's still funny? Like if I go 1 frame ahead, there's a chance it might even fix itself. Nope. I think it might have done it. Did it fix itself? It looks like it... Yeah. Oh yeah, it did. So it fixed itself after I picked a couple new frames. I really just shifted the beginning ahead and the other one in whatever direction. And it tricked Synthesize. And I just hit solve and it worked. So that's one way you can do it. Another way is you can tell if Synthesize is flipping it in the wrong direction. It means it doesn't know which way the camera is moving relative to those points. Because this head is so small on screen that it can technically be satisfied when it's rotating in other directions. It's kind of like an optical illusion. You ever see those illusions where you see like a ballerina? It's a shadow, it's a silhouette, and she's spinning around. And then it's a test about like, oh, your brain sees it counterclockwise, or she's spinning clockwise. It's like that. Synthesize can't tell which way because it doesn't have enough data because this cat's head is so small on screen that the points don't have like a major depth or scale to it. So, I don't remember the last time I opened Synthesize. Syllabus Oh, Syllabus PTSD. Revanite. That must be lyric with a name like that. Hello. Yeah, man, it's been a little bit for me. I've been teaching it to a couple people occasionally here and there, but I haven't been using it that much. Okay, so, what are they doing? Oh, yeah. So, let's say this. If your 2 starting frames, if it doesn't work no matter where you put these frames, another thing you can try is to avoid Synthesize getting tricked by that illusion that I just explained of the ballerina spinning clockwise or counterclockwise. You can force it to tell, like the camera itself here, you could see these hints, left, right, upwards, downwards, push in, pull back. You can tell the camera which way it's actually moving. So between frame 1, like my begin frame, and my end frame, the camera is... It's moving... It's kind of tough because the cat head turned around. Technically, the camera moved upwards and slightly to the left. So you could try upwards or left or something maybe. Honestly though, this I just cycle down the list and I hit solve every time and see what works. But you can immediately go for the direction if you know which way the camera's traveling between your 2 frames. So, we have it working already, so I'm not going to do that. Now that I have it working, I'm going to move into some refining territory. And let's watch this break again. Because everything goes wrong when I'm streaming. All this worked like immediately. When I'm like focusing and I'm doing my work, I don't miss steps and I don't enter in like a distance and forget about it. I don't swap a polarity, forget, and automatic refine. I promise I don't do that. But It's hard for me to remember this stuff when I'm streaming. So. Passed the syllabus, but still got fired though. Oh no! You yell at them. Send them angry emails. Like, angry emails. King Cal? Yes. That should have been my, that needs to be my Discord name. What am I doing? Look, I forgot again. So, I am clearly doing... What am I doing? I'm so clearly doing... I'm refining. Okay, I'm refining. So this cat head. Let's throw in a test object because I want to show something about this cat head as I'm refining it. Because it's jittery from the camera right now. Also, the camera is jittery. So this is a step where you want to refine the camera first. Don't refine or smooth your object because if you smooth the distance of this object now, solve it, you're good, your object's happy. But your camera still has jitter. And then if you try to smooth your camera jitter, it's going to get piped back into your object sometimes. Hard to explain. Like, when it happens to you, you'll know it. Yeah, you'll just have to trust me on that. So I'm going to refine this camera, and then we're going to refine the object. Before we refine the object, though, I am going to put an object here. So, camera. We're going to go to camera 1, and we're going to go filtering control, and this stuff here. I don't, did I've made a video on this. I can't remember how in depth I talked about it. Have I ever tried PF Track? Worth it, or Synthesize have all of what you need to track? Yeah, I used to use PF Track. I really like PF Track. It's fun. I like the nodes. I like that you can pipe stereo plates into the, you know, and you could plug it all into a user track node and stuff. Orient node, there's some flexibility in how you do some stuff. Also, I like the mesh building stuff and whatever. I liked using it, but I don't see the point. A lot of the fancy stuff that PF Track can do is not necessary. Because more often than not, the studio or pipeline has other software that can do that stuff better when it comes to scanning surfaces or building stuff, or even like the mesh tracking in object tracking in PF Track is awesome. I am going to start doing my object tracking more in Maya. Like I'm going to do it a mix between Synthesize and Maya. Maya has MM Solver. If you haven't used MM Solver, I promise it's worth your while to learn. It's also not as hard as it seems. It lets you solve rigs and hinging objects and gives you like fun refining options that if you're comfortable animating in Maya, it's mixing Maya animation with solving. It's awesome. So yeah, even if I was in PF Track for object solving, I'm going to be doing most of that in Maya now. Yeah, anyway, PF Track's awesome, but it's super, super expensive, and Synthesize has some crazy anamorphic stuff that I personally think is a lot faster and better in some cases that I've tested over even 3D Equalizer. You know, there's still a couple major stuff that I would love to have in 3DE. I'm sorry, Synthesize. But for the most part, it does everything that I need. It does it very, very fast. Yeah. I like mocap solving in PF Track. That was a lot of fun. Where was I again? Oh yeah, I was refining the camera. So, path filter control. We have to make sure that we are under camera 1, because right now we're going to smooth the object, because I wasn't paying attention, as always. So I'm going to switch to camera 1. I'm going to close this because I'm paranoid, and then I'm going to reopen it. Now I'm going to zoom in on my camera path because I like to look at this stuff. So you can see our jittery camera right here. Now, I can hit smooth right now, like X, Y, Z, and apply. Awesome, thanks Axe. So I hit smooth just now, but notice, look at the camera path right here. And see how the majority of the motion just got eroded and killed. Like, this is too much smoothing. This smooth, it's better suited for when your camera's on like a dolly track or a crane, jib, whatever. Like, those things have smooth movements. That's kind of what this default is. That's the majority of your shots when you're working in film and television. I like the default, but the smooth is too aggressive for a handheld shot like this. My hand is jittery, and I don't want to destroy all that jitter. So this frequency, I want to smooth the higher frequency noise, like the sharpest corners, not the overall motion. The sharpest corners I want to smooth. So I'm gonna go higher frequency up to like 12 or something. And now when I hit smooth, you could see that we preserved the overall motion a lot better. And everything has like nice, cleaner, smooth arcs. So now I'm going to reset my filter because I don't want it to apply every time I hit go. And I'm going to go to my axis locks right here. And here, I have a video talking about this stuff. Again, I don't remember how much I talked about it. I plan to redo most of my videos in new synthesize and also redo all my streams. Here I'm going to go position and hit get. And we hit get because it's going to load this smooth path that we created. It's going to load it right here in seed path values. Notice seed, just like Tracker's seed and lock. Seed is given data. And we made the smooth path. We can also like by hand move this path around however we want. And then we can import it here. Because this here, seed path values, is what the locks is going to pay attention to. So now with lock on my first frame, I'm going to close this. And make sure I'm in refine, my locks are on. My filtering is not on, so I can hit go. And now, you can see that my camera points have adjusted themselves ever so slightly. And my camera didn't move at all because it's locked on that path, the smooth path. But the rotations are updated because when you smooth a camera, technically you move the camera, so it has to rotate to like correct for your alteration. Yeah, it makes sense to have those noise. If handheld... Oh, sorry, it's hard for me to read my chat sometimes because I'm using a new setup, and there's like this like button. What does this do? Can I like stuff? Oh, what is that? Oh no, I ruined my chat window. No! Okay, let's hold on. I gotta bring that back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Revenite. Yeah, it makes sense to have those noise if handheld don't want to over smooth. Just kill those peaks. Yes. Exactly. Match move shirt. Kill those peaks. And then put like a graph, a noisy graph line on your shirt. Kill those peaks. And then watch somebody get upset because they don't know what it means. Okay, so I might have even over smoothed this technically because this is a really jittery shot. And if we look over here, look at this point. It's really popping around now. So let's see what happens if I turn that lock off. So I turned the lock off on the first frame. And let's go here and see if this improves. Go. Yes, it improved, and it looks way better. So my shot is so shaky that it looks like I don't really want to smooth at all. So I'm going to leave that jitter in there. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. Now that we're comfortable with the camera, we're going to disable it. And I'm going to go for a break for like 5 minutes. So I'm going to go on a 5-minute break, and then I'm going to put an object on this cat, and we're going to refine the distance of the cat. And, you know, use the distance lock right here. And yeah, from then on, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll probably be done at that point. So yeah, I'm just gonna go on a break, then I'll come back and we're gonna finish up this cat head. So yes, I will be back shortly. Also, I hope the latency on the stream is better. YouTube's kind of like not the fastest unless you tell it like low latency, but then you get like a noisy compressed stream. So this graphics that's on my screen right now can look a little fuzzy. I want to try the medium level next time and see if it looks a little prettier. But yeah, anyway, I'll be back in like 5 minutes. In fact, I'm gonna change this to 5-minute break. Bam. All right, I'll be back. Okay, back in like 15 seconds. Okay, back to Kitty. Okay, what was I doing? I was solving the head. Smoothing the head. I was done the camera, and we ended up not smoothing the camera, so we're done. So make sure that camera 1 is disabled. Well, hopefully the cat ends up animating realistically in depth distance relative to the cam. Exactly. Yeah. So it should, because the distance smooths from the camera's perspective, but it doesn't smooth based on the camera's motion, if that makes sense. So the cat will have a smooth motion in depth. Now, whether or not that's perfect from like a 3D point to tracker perspective, that got a little technical. Whether or not that works, yeah, we'll have to see. But in depth in 3D space, it'll look better. Maybe better than what it might look in camera, but I think it might look pretty good in camera. Also, we have a lot of flexibility with this because the head is squishing and squashing around, and fur is stretching and puffing. I might do more with this head on my own time. I might model it, make it look cool. And I might try to animate some ear movement and stuff, maybe. I might do that in my own time. I don't know if I'm going to stream that because I have to remember how to deform and rig stuff in Maya. And I don't know if that's a thing that's worth watching. Yeah. So, the cat head. So, we are under Object 1. We're going to switch to Refine. Also, I want to hit Solve, see if this works still. Yes, it still works. So let's see if it flips around or does something stupid when I smooth this, because usually it does on me. So we're going to go Filter and Control. And we're going to smooth distance. We could smooth X, Y, and Z and then still lock our distance. It'll be fine. Sometimes you can get away with just smoothing distance though, depending on the object. And it also depends on where you put this pivot. It's hard to explain why. Like really hard to explain why. It's something you have to see and feel for yourself. But make sure your pivot or your object, like your 0 point, is generally on the most important part of your object. Because that's going to be the most preserved when you smooth with distance. So right now the nose is going to be virtually unaffected. And the points that are further out, as this object goes... So actually, here's an easy way to show it. I'm going to underexpose this cat. So, smoothing will push and pull this object towards and from and towards the camera. So if I come to 3D, and you could see I can move things left, right, up and down, right? But there's a fourth option. So if I move this, you could see how we're pushing the object away and towards the camera. Look at how the points at the diamond, the nose is preserved, but everything further out is being affected. So basically, what's going to happen when I smooth and then refine, smoothing is going to smooth the distance on every frame of this path to the camera. So everything is going to be like slightly varying off on the edges. Caillou, greetings Cal, great tutorial as always. Thank you, Kai. You are just as polite as I remember you to be. So, now, this... So yeah, when we push and pull... Wait, what was I doing? Oh, here we go. So yeah, so when I push and pull, what the solver is going to do is we're going to smooth it. This is going to get affected somehow. And then, when we solve, it's going to like rotate and try to align everything again. That's what refining does, is you smooth and alter your paths or rotations, and then you solve for the other ones to account for the new position. So, let's undo that. Did I undo it? Oh, I might have. Cool. Oh, no I didn't. Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Awesome. Okay. So now, right now, I'm going to hit smooth on distance. So if I hit smooth right now, you could see that the path, it's squishing this way towards the camera. Nothing is moving the other way. If I turn distance off, go XYZ, smooth, you could see how different it is. Everything eroded in every direction. See? If I undo and redo. And then when I do distance, smooth, see, look at the difference in that. Because it's smoothing in the direction of the camera. And if we look around at some drastic areas, like right here. Actually, let's go to this part of the path right here. Where is that? Ah. Yeah, right here. So look at how much the object changed, right? Right here from the depth. This is too much smoothing. But when I refine solve, it's going to rotate to fit these points. But we don't want to smooth it this much. So I'm going to undo. We're going to go frequency, turn it up. Let's go 13, something high. That's not a lot. Let's go 10. Yeah. It's hard to tell because these planar views don't give you an exact, like, good angle to look at this path, but I'm going to wing it and say that's fine. So I'm going to go reset. And now if we look ahead, some of these paths that were spiking around, it's hard to tell. They're off. Now we're going to go to solver, reset, close this. Axis locks. And let's see. On the first frame, we're going to lock distance. And this 60, notice everything else is 0, but here it says 60. These numbers, this is weighting. So you can tell it to listen to this smooth path 100%, or you can tell it to listen to it about halfway. That's what 60 is. 60 is like halfway listening to this smooth. I'm going to turn it up. The highest, which is 100%, is 120. I don't know why it's 120. I'm not sure why, but 120 is full. 60 is about half weighting. And then when you go to 0, 0 just means that weighting is off. So if you turn this up slightly to like 1, then weighting is on, but it's barely anything. So yeah, I'm gonna go up to like 90. I don't like to force the distance as much. 60 is pretty good, but I kind of like 90 from, I don't know. So if I scrub around, you can see that our seed value here is our constraint to distance. See, this is centimeters. This is measurement from the object to the camera. So if I hit get, and now see it's 45. I think that's 45 centimeters to the camera on this frame. And each frame you could see our distance gets shorter right here. Yeah, this is like centimeters per frame. I missed the weight lock. Oh, I can't scale my window. I missed the refinite. I missed the weight lock. Doesn't have to be a hard 100% lock. Yes. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a hard 100%. Which again, just to remind everyone, 100% in synthesize means 120. So half is 60. That's half weighting. I'm going 90. I happen to like 90. Yeah, I'll hit get because I'm paranoid. Also, did I turn distance on the first frame? Yes, I did. Remember, these buttons here will animate. If you go halfway through a shot and touch these buttons, you can see it animates, and that gets a little bit annoying. To reset any animation, you can control right click. And now I'll turn it on the first frame, and we're good. Okay, so we should see this object rotate slightly when I hit solve. So Shift G, yes. See, it rotated, but it kept the distance. So if I look over here, see, it tried to fit everything better on average. The 2 points in the middle are averaged. Yeah, this is fine. So this is, we're not going to get much better than this because I struggled to track fur. The eyes are like closing and opening. I can't really see a corner on some frames. And yeah, so this is just what we have. But the nose, I like the nose. And you should usually pick one point on your object that you want to be rock solid. Because if you have to mess with your object in a software down the line like Maya, you want to have a pivot point you trust and then rotate and scale everything else. So this point on the nose, I'm going to go to trackers and I'm going to set its weight up to like 3 or something. And if I lock on, let's find a bad frame. There, so you can see it's quite off. So if I hit solve, there we go. The nose is now locked. It's the most solid thing in the shot. And if you needed higher weighting, you can go up to like 10 or something, but don't try not to go high weighting, because then you get into like pixel noise territory, and you as a human did not probably track it perfectly 100%. But yeah, if you put a hard weighting of like 10, you start to get the actual pixel jitter in your tracker. Okay, so now that we have this, you can see the points are pretty well averaged. Let's put in an object. I said I was going to put in an object because I wanted to show something. I didn't end up doing that. Let's bring in a box just so we can see this quite clearly. So I'm going to go bring in a box. Let's bring its divisions down to 2, 2, 2. And I'm going to zero this out. Actually, there's a cool way to do this. I'm going to show something. I could take this box, and if I want to line it up to the diamond now, I created it under my object, so you could see it's already parented under object 1. If I scrub, it's going to move. Now, if I want this oriented to the diamond, if I want this oriented to the diamond, I can zero out the transforms, zero out the translations, and then switch to rotate, zero that out too. Now you can see the box shares the orientation of the head. Now, if you didn't want to do it this way, something you can do is when you're under your object, there's a button over here called World. Now, if you hit World, your object is now snapped to, well, the world. And the camera and everything moves around. Also, this orientation isn't what I expected. I feared something might have flipped. Like I might have had an axis pointing the wrong way. Which way is this pointing? Z, that way. Okay, eye is pointing which way? The other eye is... Wait, did I not set a polarity? Oh no. It seems to be working. So it looks like my head is technically flipped. Like it doesn't know. My head this blue point should have been flipped that way. So my head is kind of upside down, which is not a big problem. I wonder if the solve will just allow me to fix it right now by switching the polarity of my X point here to positive X, because right now it's pointing down negative X. So if I switch to positive X, hit solve. Holy shit, it worked. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, and there, this makes more sense. My wheelbarrow's on the bottom. Okay, I was gonna cry. Okay, so now, yeah, things are correct. I'm going to go back into world. So what world does is it takes the object and centers it. Everything else around moves, but the object is perfectly locked, and it still works from the camera's perspective. Benefit of this is that you can do easier placement of your geometry now. Let's give this a bright, obnoxious color. Let's go... let's give it bright yellow. There we go. Let's shrink it down a little bit here. I'm gonna move it here, and if I want to center this, like perfectly center on the line, I can zero out this. There we go. Let's bring it up ever so slightly. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So now we have what I would call a pretty nice solve of this cat's head that I can now do stuff with in other software. Oh, my camera's screwed up. Okay. My camera points are off. Here's another thing to pay attention to. And again, I don't pay attention a whole lot when I'm streaming. So to fix... Why did this happen? Because I disabled the camera. The camera is not solving or updating its position. But something else is solving. Usually the object and the camera can work together. But if you disable one or the other... like, I disabled the camera, but what the object is doing right now is it's actually affecting distortion, but the camera isn't. So they're not fully working together. So, also focal length is known. Yeah, focal length you got to set to known, and then you got to turn off distortion, and then you can move to your object. That's what I should have done. So what I'm going to do is see what happens if I unlock my camera. So the camera, I'm going to recalculate just the distortion. So I want to preserve the path of my camera. Also, let's go turn off object. Because I want to resolve the distortion, but I don't want the camera to move, because if the camera moves, then the object is going to be wrong. So I'm going to go solver. I'm going to go axis locks. We're going to go position, get, and we're getting just the current camera position as it is. So we got it load in, and now we're locked. And we're going to switch the camera to refine. And now I should be able to solve. Things will change slightly, it always does. And now the object is virtually the same as well. And it moved again just because the distortion changed, so it has to alter slightly. But the object still has my distance locked, so we're good. So you can see now my camera points stick, my cat head sticks. And yeah, the cat head is also smooth in depth. What I was going to show before when I was like, oh, I want to show you a thing with the object when you're smoothing the distance. Because there's a thing where if you have like the back of the head jittering a lot with the object, if you smooth your depth, like jitter happens on the sides of objects because the object pushed or pulled forward or backwards from the camera and then rotated in an incorrect way. That's your jitter for an object, mostly. But if you smooth the path, the object can't go forward and back, so it just stays locked, and then the object is the rotation is more stable. So yes, that is it. I think I'm done. So just for fun, I just want to see how the camera space looks since I didn't smooth it. Also, it moved, I think. No, I visually told it where the center of the wheelbarrow was. This wheelbarrow is off. Like, its shape isn't perfect because we didn't give it all the data. We don't have a full camera move, so no matter what, this wheelbarrow is slightly misshapen. There's nothing you can do about that unless you had like witness cameras or set photos or a LiDAR scan, perfect undistortion maps or something. So yeah, if you try to model this in Maya, don't expect like perfect, even symmetrical. This wheelbarrow is distorted anyway, but it might have a bit of a shear to it as well with this solve. Different shots, you just gotta pick your poison depending on the data that you were given from, the production. What was I doing? Oh yeah, grid. When I make a matrix grid, by the way, I just want to point out, I like to make a matrix grid perfectly square, and I drag it up so that the diamonds form a relatively uniform grid of squares, because you know what a square is. Because you know what a square is, you can kind of tell the perspective from these diamonds. I like this. This looks cool. Alright, I'm done. That's the end. If there's any questions, You know, I don't know how much I can answer with this scene, but I don't know. Now's your chance. I'm gonna quit. So you have like a second. Wait, you have like 20 seconds or something. I don't know what the latency is like on this stream. Bro, my girlfriend only wants to know the cat's name. The cat's name? This cat's name is Tuffy. My parents live, like, where I grew up was on this lake resort, and it was mostly forest around us. This cat found us. We didn't ask for, my parents didn't ask for their cats. There was a house on top of a hill, and they get these cats because they want these cats to catch mice. But these cats roam around freely through it's a fair distance, like a kilometer, I think. These cats over the years have found their way down to my parents' house where my dad like feeds them, and then they end up keeping these cats. So yeah, this cat Tuffy a few years ago just found its way down this massive hill, across this field, through this patch of forest. They started feeding it, and now it's kind of their cat. They know the people on top of the hill, by the way. They like the original owners knows what's going on. Like they all understand. What do you think of Boris Effect? Where's my window? What do you think of Boris Effects and Synthesize's merging, Cal? I'm excited about it because I've known for a while that Boris Effects seems to be does a pretty good job with its pricing models, and I wasn't worried about price increases and stuff and whatever. I just want to be able to purchase a permanent license. That's what I want to be able to continue doing. But if it frees up Russ's time to be able to do some more stuff, he's not taking care of the financial side of it anymore. And if Boris Effects are able to aid a hand in some UI or some other features, maybe implement some planar track and stuff, I'm really excited. I like the option of the monthly subscriptions and whatever, because sometimes you just, like, if you're a compositor, but someone's like, hey, or if you're a freelancer and you have to do a quick tracking task for some work that you were commissioned to do, then you can like rent it for a month, use it for a couple, 2-3 weeks, and maybe that's all you ever needed. You didn't need a $900 whatever license. So I like the option. I kind of like what they're doing with pricing and stuff. And yeah. Yeah, there was a little worry at the start, but then I was kind of thinking about it for a couple hours when they first did it. I don't feel that bad about it. Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with it. But oh yeah, by the way, if you wanted to like support me, there's also like stuff in the description of this stream now. So, hey, I have to say good things. Let's see. What do you think? True, I'm a peasant. Great input. Yeah, it's I'm these days I'm a bit of a peasant as well. But yeah, I've back when this release of Synthize came out, I told myself I was gonna go broke. If they came out with anamorphic, if Russ put anamorphic solving into Synthize, I already knew that I was gonna buy it like the moment it came out, and I did, and I went broke, and then the industry went to crap. So now I'm broke. I have Synthize, and I'm not using it. But once things kick back up, I'm so excited. I want to get some anamorphic footage. I might have to fake some because I can fake anamorphic footage, and have it work just as well as real anamorphic footage in terms of solving. So I'm going to start doing some anamorphic stuff soon. And yeah, anyway. Cool, I'm going to go now. Thank you for the questions. Thank you everybody who stopped by. And yeah. Revenant approved. Thank you, Axe. Thank you, LOL Plove, Roland, Caillou, and Kirk. I can't pronounce that name if you're still here. I'm sorry. Okay, so is this button still working? Nope, that's the wrong one. Hey, that's the right one. Send to client. Send this cat to client, yes. Alright, thank you for stopping by. Have a great night or morning. QC. Okay, I'm gone now.